Is Aljamain Sterling ducking Sean O'Malley, or is there more to the story? Buckle up, fight fans, as we dive into one of the most controversial matchups of the year and journey through the history of UFC's quickest turnaround fights. This is one video that is sure to keep you locked in. Welcome, fight fans. There's been some recent controversy brewing in the world of MMA, a storm of speculation that's managed to stir up both fighters and fans. We're talking about the scheduled showdown between Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley for the bantamweight title at UFC 292 this August. This fight would set the record as one of the fastest turnaround fight defenses, which has been a bone of contention in the MMA community. It's been booked merely days after Sterling's title defense split decision with Henry Cejudo, causing a bit of an uproar. Some think Sterling is delaying Sean O'Malley's title shot, but is it just pre-fight hype, or is there more to it? Let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Here's what Aljamain had to say about the whole situation.
I'm still injured, like with my legs banged up. My bicep still sucks. I'm supposed to get another MRI on that. I'm trying to get to this fight in August. We've talked a little bit about it, and we're trying to see if we can make it happen, but my leg is still super sensitive to the touch. I hope I'm not ruining anything by me saying that, but guys, I did just fight. The swelling has gone down a lot. I can actually do a flex of my foot, but it's still very stiff. I haven't done any PT. I've done PT once in the sauna one time, and I did an ice bath last night. Well, yesterday afternoon at Hofstra. So I think that helped out a ton with the swelling for sure. So I don't know, we're gonna see, because my shins are super sensitive. Like even just me touching it right now, they feel like mushy almost.
Clearly, there seems to be a bit of a disconnect here. But what does Dana White, the president of the UFC, think about all this? Here's Dana's take on all this he's fighting. Do you want me to explain the mind of f***ing Aljo? White exclaimed. I got a call from Henry Cejudo this morning saying it sounds like Aljo doesn't want to fight. Aljo is just one of those guys who can't get out of his own way. Why did he say that? I don't know. The fight is absolutely, positively on. Despite Aljamain's recent remarks, Dana seems adamant that the fight will happen in August. But isn't it reasonable to allow Aljamain time to reach 100% for this title defense? Let's take a deeper dive into the history of the UFC and its quickest turnaround fights. We've seen numerous warriors step into the ring on short notice, pulling off unforgettable bouts that have etched their names in the annals of MMA. Number 1, Chris Leben at UFC 116 and UFC Fight Night. Ortiz vs. Nogueira. Leben's 2-week turnaround is one for the record books. On July 3, 2010, Leben faced off against Yoshihiro Akiyama at UFC 116, a brutal match that ended with a triangle choke in the 3rd round, securing him a victory. But he didn't stop there. Leben made a stunning comeback just 14 days later, on July 17, 2010, in a contest against Wanderlei Silva, winning once again by a triangle submission. Number 2. Donald Cowboy Cerrone at UFC 182 and UFC Fight Night. McGregor vs. Cyver. Donald Cerrone, fondly known as Cowboy, is one of the most active fighters in UFC history, having an impressive record of short-notice fights. One of his quickest turnarounds was back in January 2015, when he fought Miles Jury at UFC 182 and came out with a victory. Unwilling to rest on his laurels, Cerrone returned to the octagon 15 days later, battling out a grueling match against Benson Henderson at UFC Fight Night, McGregor vs. Siveri. The fight resulted in a unanimous decision win for Cerrone, solidifying his reputation as one of the toughest fighters around. Number 3. Chael Sonnen at UFC 109 and UFC 117. Sonnen is another fighter known for his grit, determination, and readiness to face challenges head-on. In February 2010, Sonnen fought Nate Marquardt at UFC 109, pulling off a unanimous decision victory. Despite the physical exertion, Sonnen was back in the octagon in just 21 days, ready to face Anderson Silva at UFC 117. Although Sonnen didn't win, his performance was memorable and earned him respect in the UFC community. Number 4. Khamzat Chimaev at UFC Fight Night. Qatar vs IG and UFC on ESPN. Whitaker vs Till. Emerging star Khamzat Chimaev made headlines in 2020 when he managed 2 wins in just 10 days. Chimaev debuted in the UFC on July 15, 2020, at UFC Fight Night, Qatar vs IG, where he defeated John Phillips via submission in the second round. Barely had the dust settled when Chimaev was back in the cage on July 25, 2020 at UFC on ESPN, Whitaker vs Till. He defeated Rhys McKee via TKO in the very first round, demonstrating his formidable skills and setting a new record for the quickest turnaround between victories in the modern UFC era. Number 5. Ronda Rousey at UFC 168 and UFC 170. Ronda Rousey, the former bantamweight champion, made her mark with one of the quickest title defense turnarounds in UFC history. Rousey defended her title against Miesha Tate at UFC 168, winning via submission. Rousey was back in the octagon just 56 days later at UFC 170 on February 22, 2014, where she faced Sarah McMahon and won via TKO in the first round. Her quick turnaround time and impressive performances further cemented Rousey's reputation as a dominant force in women's combat sport. As we explore the intricate world of the UFC, it's clear that the line between fear and caution can sometimes blur. Is Aljamain Sterling scared of Sean O'Malley, or is he simply being cautious given his recent injury and the unprecedented quick turnaround for this title defense? These are questions that have ignited fervor and speculation within the MMA community. On one hand, we have Dana White's emphatic assertion that the fight is absolutely, positively on. On the other, we have Sterling's concerns about his recovery from his last title defense, with his own statements indicating a level of apprehension. But this isn't just about Sterling and O'Malley. It's about the inherent culture of the UFC, a sport that prides itself on the toughness and resilience of its fighters. We have seen, time and again, fighters stepping back into the octagon on short notice, pushing their bodies to the limit in pursuit of victory. The 5 examples we discussed earlier testify to this spirit of perseverance. Yet, it's crucial to remember that every fighter's journey is unique, and each decision they make carries significant weight. A bout isn't just a competition. It's a risk, a commitment, a testament to their dedication. Sterling's decision, whatever it may be, deserves to be respected in this light. In the end, whether the Sterling-O'Malley bout happens in August or not, it's bound to be a thrilling spectacle. This is a matchup that brings together 2 exceptional talents, and when they finally clash in the octagon, it's going to be a fight for the ages. So, fight fans, let's stay tuned, stay supportive, and remember, the spirit of MMA is about more than just winning. It's about resilience, respect, and the relentless pursuit of greatness.